Imagine spending over 100 hours in a video game and still discovering new things. From hidden quest lines that unlock after 80 hours of gameplay to secret areas that most players never find. These games aren't just long, they're packed with content that'll blow your mind. We're not talking about endless multiplayer grinding. These are incredible single-player experiences that'll keep you hooked for months. And the best part? One of these games has a secret ending that only 0.1% of players have ever seen.
Do you want to win any of the items you see on your screen? All you have to do is watch the whole video, leave a like, comment the keyword hidden in the video, and make sure you're subscribed. Good luck!
Let's start with a game that revolutionized open-world RPGs, The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. But forget everything you've heard about it before. Most players think they've seen everything after completing the main story, but they're missing out on the game's biggest secrets. There's an entire underground vampire society with its own politics and quests that you'll only discover if you make specific choices during seemingly unrelated side missions. And here's the kicker, some of the best gear in the game is locked behind these hidden storylines. The base game alone offers around 70 hours of main story content, but that's just scratching the surface. The side quests, they're not your typical fetch quests. Each one tells a unique story that could be a standalone game. Take the Bloody Baron questline, for example. What starts as a simple missing person case turns into a dark tale of family trauma, supernatural curses, and impossible choices. And that's just one of over 100 side quests. Even the smallest details in The Witcher 3 can lead to massive storylines. There's a seemingly simple contract about a ghost haunting a tower that spirals into a 3-hour investigation involving ancient curses, family betrayals, and multiple possible endings. Or the mysterious merchant who appears only at midnight during a full moon, selling items that can completely change your playstyle. The game's 2 DLCs, Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, aren't just add-ons, they're masterpieces in their own right. Hearts of Stone introduces one of gaming's most memorable characters, Gaunter O'Dim, whose true identity has sparked years of fan theories. The storyline involves making deals with the devil, attending ghost weddings, and pulling off an elaborate heist. Blood and Wine transports you to Toussaint, a land that looks like a fairy tale, but hides dark secrets beneath its colorful surface. You'll uncover vampire conspiracies, participate in medieval tournaments, and even own your own vineyard that you can customize over dozens of hours. Next up, Persona 5 Royal. And if you think it's just another JRPG, you couldn't be more wrong. This game is a masterclass in making every hour count. You're not just fighting monsters, you're living a double life as a high school student by day and a supernatural phantom thief by night. The game's calendar system means every day matters, and your choices have real consequences. The genius of Persona 5 Royal lies in its layered storytelling. While you're working to change the hearts of corrupted adults in the main story, you're also managing relationships with a vast cast of characters, each with their own deep storylines. The game introduces new mechanics even 50 hours in, keeping the gameplay fresh and exciting. The Confidant system isn't just about making friends. Each relationship you build unlocks new abilities and story branches that can dramatically change your playthrough. What makes it truly special is how the game rewards long-term investment. After what seems like the final boss, players who have maxed out specific relationships unlock an entire additional semester of content. This new chapter isn't just extra padding, it completely recontextualizes the entire story and introduces one of gaming's most complex and morally ambiguous antagonists. The true ending sequence alone is longer than some entire games. The game's Mementos dungeon, which initially seems like an optional grinding area, reveals itself to be crucial to the true story if you spend enough time exploring it. There are hidden bosses, rare personas, and story revelations that only the most dedicated players will discover. Some of the most powerful personas in the game require you to max out multiple social stats and confidant relationships, which can take well over 100 hours to achieve. Red Dead Redemption 2. This game takes open world detail to an unprecedented level. This isn't just about the main story, which is already a 60-hour epic. It's about the hundreds of unique interactions and events that most players never see. Did you know there's an entire vampire mystery in St. Denis that takes multiple in-game weeks to solve? Or that you can track down a serial killer by finding scattered clues across the entire map? The game's attention to detail is staggering. Every NPC has a daily routine they follow. The mud in Valentine gets deeper when it rains and slowly dries in the sun. Your horse's coat grows over time and needs to be groomed. Your character's beard grows in real time, and you can style it in dozens of ways. These might seem like small details, but they create a world that feels genuinely alive. The game features over 200 different species of animals, each with their own behavioral patterns. Wolves hunt in packs, herbivores graze in specific locations, and predators fight over territory. You can study and document each species, leading to unique encounters and discoveries dozens of hours into the game. Some of the rarest animals, like the legendary moose, can take hours of careful tracking to find. But what really sets Red Dead Redemption 2 apart is how it handles character progression. Arthur Morgan's journey isn't just about completing missions, it's about the small moments between the big events. The conversations around campfires, the journal entries that reveal his inner thoughts, and the way other characters react to your choices all build to create one of gaming's most compelling character arcs. The honor system isn't just a meter, it affects everything from how NPCs treat you to which endings you can access. Divinity. Original Sin 2 Divinity redefines what's possible in an RPG. Most players don't realize that you can complete the entire game without seeing 70% of its content. Every single quest has at least 3 different solutions, and your choices create ripple effects that change entire storylines. Want to skip a difficult fight? Maybe you can teleport past it, or disguise yourself as an enemy, or find a completely different route through the sewers. The game's combat system is a playground of possibilities. You can combine elements to create new effects that aren't even mentioned in the tutorial. Create blood rain to heal undead allies while damaging enemies. Use telekinesis to drop objects on enemies from great heights. Teleport oil barrels into groups of enemies and set them on fire. The possibilities are nearly endless, and players are still discovering new combinations years after release. Each of the 6 origin characters has their own unique storyline that interweaves with the main plot. Playing as Fane, an undead scholar from an ancient civilization, gives you a completely different perspective than playing as Sibyl, an elven former slave seeking revenge. These aren't just different starting points. They're entire storylines that can radically change how other characters react to you and what options are available throughout the game. The game's crafting system alone can consume dozens of hours. You can create thousands of different items, each with potential uses in combat or storytelling. Some of the most powerful items in the game can only be crafted using recipes you'll find scattered throughout the world. And here's something most players never realize. You can even craft your own skill books by combining different elements, creating entirely new abilities that aren't available any other way. Speaking of massive games, let's talk about this next amazing game worth investing 100 hours in. The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim. Yeah, you've probably heard of it, but what you might not know is that even after a decade, players are still discovering new quests and locations. The main storyline about being Dragonborn? That's just the beginning. There's a reason people sink thousands of hours into this game, and it's not just because of the mods. Let's talk about what makes Skyrim genuinely. Every single cave, fortress, and ruin has its own story to tell. You might enter a simple-looking bandit camp only to discover an ancient vampire conspiracy, or stumble into a seemingly empty cave and find yourself in the middle of a centuries-old magical experiment gone wrong. The game has over 300 marked locations, but here's the crazy part. There are dozens of unmarked locations with unique quests and rewards that don't show up on your map. Most players know about the main quest lines, the Civil War, the Companions, the Dark Brotherhood. But did you know there's an entire quest line about collecting ancient dragon priest masks that unlocks a secret boss fight? Or that if you read certain books in a specific order, you can unlock hidden spells that aren't available anywhere else in the game. Some players have logged over 2,000 hours and still haven't found every unique item or completed every quest. The game's Radiant Quest system means that even when you think you've done everything, there's always something new. But here's what makes it special. These aren't just repetitive fetch quests. Each one is dynamically generated based on your character's level, previous choices, and current location you've never seen before, with enemies you've never fought, all because of your unique playthrough choices. And then there's Elden Ring, the game that redefined what an open world can be. Forget everything you know about map markers and quest logs. This is a game where every discovery feels earned, and even after 200 hours, you're still finding new bosses, hidden areas, and pieces of lore that change everything you thought you knew about the story. Most players don't realize that Elden Ring has multiple underground maps as big as the surface world. The eternal cities of Nokron and Noxtella aren't just optional areas, they contain some of the game's most important lore and game-changing items. But here's the real kicker, there are ways to reach these areas that most players never find. Secret teleporters, hidden paths, and environmental puzzles that require serious exploration to discover. The game's build variety is staggering, with over 300 unique weapons, 100 spells, and countless combinations of abilities. You could play through the game 10 times and have a completely different experience each time. Some of the most powerful combinations in the game require items from opposite ends of the map that seem completely unrelated until you put them together. Let's talk about the game's hidden quest lines. Unlike typical RPGs where quests are clearly marked, Elden Ring's quest lines require genuine detective work. NPCs move to different locations based on your actions. World events change based on what bosses you've defeated. And some of the most important story revelations only happen if you visit specific locations at specific times. There's even a secret ending that requires you to follow a quest line so complex that only a tiny percentage of players have ever seen it. The game's legacy dungeons deserve special mention. While most open-world games have copy-pasted dungeons, each legacy dungeon in Elden Ring is a masterpiece of level design. Stormveil Castle alone has more secret paths and hidden rooms than most entire games. Players are still finding new shortcuts and hidden areas months after release. And the best part? Each of these discoveries actually matter, whether it's finding a unique weapon that'll completely change your playstyle or uncovering a piece of lore that recontextualizes the entire story. But there's one game that takes the concept of hidden content to the next level. A game where reaching the 100-hour mark isn't the end, it's where the true story begins. A game so massive that only a handful of players have ever seen its true ending. Want to know what it is? Well, that's a story for another video. But here's a hint, it's not what you think, and it's been hiding in plain sight for years. What's your guess? Drop it in the comments below. And if you've played any of these games, let us know how many hours you've logged. You might be surprised to learn you're still missing some of their biggest secrets. Be sure to like this video down below if you liked it, and be sure to subscribe for more lists like these. And feel free to watch any of the videos on the screen.